Well, it looks like Bristol City have quickly resolved their managerial situation, and it looks like ex-Birmingham and QPR assistant John Eustace will be the new guy in charge. Well, Darren Whitcoop first led with this story that is on your screens right now. John Eustace looks like a fairly decent shout. He is an unemployed manager, is out of work. He was sacked by Birmingham or mutual consent or whatever it was earlier in the season. They were sixth, and bizarrely, possibly one of the most controversial sackings in a long time. And the outrage, really, from both externally and internally, was quite big. Not as much as I'd say from from the Nigel Pearson sacking, but still, it was quite big and unusual for a manager leaving a football club. Birmingham sat in the playoffs and in sixth. They looked like a fairly good outfit and were beating teams. They did go on one bad run, but with the players they had on offer, they looked like a fairly decent side. A lot of players were brought in, a complete reshape in the summer, and Eustace got that ticking pretty quickly. And to be sat in sixth, and then to be sacked in favour of just a bigger name in Wayne Rooney felt a bit unfair on Eustace. Previous to that, his first proper managerial job was at Kidderminster Harriers in the 2016-2017 season. He was handed a one-year deal after retirement, and he absolutely transformed the style of play at Kidderminster. They were labelled the non-league Barcelona, according to Wikipedia. Make of that what you will. He led Kidderminster to the playoffs within 2 seasons, as well as the first proper round of the FA Cup. He then left in May 2018 to go and join Steve McLaren's QPR to be the assistant manager over at Loftus Road. Once Steve McLaren left, John Eustace was the caretaker manager for 7 games and got 7 points from those 7 games and successfully steered QPR away from the relegation battle. After that, Mark Warburton was appointed at QPR, and John Eustace was still part of the backroom staff setup, and simultaneously after that, in March 2022, he took the Republic of Ireland assistant manager role. And after Mark Warburton's departure, he then left QPR, who then turned to Michael Beale as their full-time manager. So John Eustace is now a free agent available on the market, and Birmingham City needed a manager. Birmingham is John Eustace's boyhood club. It just made a lot of sense. Birmingham were, to be fair, in a bit of a pickle financially and looked like they were working with a pretty threadbare squad. John Eustace came in, settled a lot of things, handled a lot of things very well, came across as a very good guy in the media, and settled things and made it very stable at Birmingham for that first season in charge. Led them to a 17th place finish. Maybe not playing the most attractive of footballs, but it was very, very effective. And it looked like Birmingham were finally stable and had very good foundations to go ahead and kick on the next season. As I mentioned, Birmingham were not that stable financially, so had to resort to a lot of loan transfers and free transfers. And to be honest to John Eustace, and to be completely fair to him, he used that transfer market and used that particular niche market really, really well. John Ruddy was brought in, Hannibal was brought in from Manchester United, Tahith Chong, who impressed the season before under Lee Bowyer, was also brought in. Blemizwar Paseta was brought in on loan. Austin Trusty, who was a mainstay in that Birmingham back three, was brought in. And generally, they looked like a fairly solid side. They were hard to beat, especially at St Andrews, and generally picked up results away from home as well. They went on a very good run at the start of the season, a little bit of a tail off, but generally looked like they were always going to stay up rather comfortably under John Eustace. And a lot of credit has to go to him for that job, because without that, Birmingham, arguably under many other managers, would have sunk and would not have used the transfer market just as well, free agent market, loan market, and would possibly have gone down. So the foundations John Eustace built to just see out that 1 year period with those old owners, to bring those new owners in, to make sure it's a championship club they're buying into, and then have that, spending spree this summer. Top job by John Eustace last season. So, where do I stand on this appointment, or supposed appointment, that Bristol City are about to make? I'm not overly convinced, I have to say. I know I've just said a lot of good things about John Eustace, and yes, those are definitely credit in the bank for him, and I do still think he was unfairly sacked at Birmingham, and without that sacking, I think Birmingham would still, be in a little bit of a better position than they are under Wayne Rooney right now. But For a Bristol City perspective, his style of football hasn't really been great. Now, that could be a little bit harsh, but from what I've heard from Birmingham fans, especially this season, which was the barometer with the spending spree and the influx of players, or his players in the summer, didn't really feel like there was a massive shift in the style of football. It was still quite stoic, it was still quite rigid, it was still quite defensive. They're quite aggressive. They were really solid and, had a low block and really in shape, but didn't really feel like they were going to make that jump up to that next level on the ball. And maybe that's just what Bristol City need. And if John Eustace can't do that, this feels like a little bit of a poor appointment. Arguably, you could also say, well, he wasn't really given much time to make that change into, a different style of football, more progressive, more passing, really style of football at Birmingham, especially in the second season, because in that first season they were kind of really forced to play that defensive stoic football just to keep them in the championship and for those new owners to eventually come in. So maybe with a bit more time, Eustace would have started to play that more progressive, more passing style of play that Bristol City fans are currently looking for. And if he takes no real time in terms of just bedding in, getting his feet on the table, getting respect to the players, and then implementing that style of progressive passing football we saw under Eustace at Kidderminster Harriers, and from that evidence, if he takes no time in doing that at Bristol City, then this is a massive, massive boost for the players. If you follow me on Twitter, I have advocated for a manager who is clearly ready to imprint a set style of play that maybe a bit stubborn on, but definitely going to get across to the players fairly quickly and going to get us up the table fairly quickly as well. And if John Eustace has gone to the board, John Lansdowne, Steve Lansdowne, and said, this is what I'm going to do, this is what we're going to do, and this is ultimately what the results hopefully are going to look like, hopefully positive, then Bristol City would have been fairly convinced. And if John Eustace is willing to switch from that defensive style of football he played at Birmingham to a little bit more of a progressive football, closer to the one we kind of know and hopefully anticipate at Kidderminster Harriers, then Bristol City look like they've got a very, very good manager on their hands here. Finally, good luck to John Eustace if he is confirmed as the Bristol City manager, which we think he probably will be. Best of luck. This is not going to be an easy job by any stretch of the imagination. A bit of an unsettled squad for the moment with the number of injuries and the academy players having to be at his disposal. Hopefully he can get those academy players a nice start and help them on their development, just like Pearson would have done. Hopefully he gets the backing of the supporters, and this is not a very divisive appointment. I think we're kind of fairly split on this. I don't think that's very unhealthy either. Hopefully he can win a lot of the fan base over with the style of play and results fairly soon as well. Sheffield Wednesday and QPR, if he is appointed, will be an interesting couple of games to start with. Hopefully he can get 6 points. Hopefully Bristol can climb up the league. And hopefully he is here for the long run. Good luck, Mr. Eustace. You will need it. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Keep safe, and I'll catch you all later. Cheers.